I like doing videos at night as much as I dislike doing videos at night. And there's two reasons for this. One, at night, my symptoms and my pain are 10,000 times worse. Um, but I was told a long time ago that I was called to help the people that are the most hurt. And what I've learned since having a chronic illness, that the people that are the most hurt are usually the ones that are awake at night. Those are usually the people that need someone to talk to that can't sleep because of pain or racing thoughts or the storms they're going through. And when you're in your storm or dealing with any sort of illness or anything, I always say there may be pain in the night, but joy comes in the morning because for most of us, the nights are pretty rough. But that's also when people need someone to reach out to and talk to. Um, I didn't have anything specific I was going to talk about today, so I guess I'll talk about how my day went. From the moment I woke up is till now, the best I could remember. So I've been on 20 pills since I got sick. That was November of 2024, and now I'm down to 6. But as I detox, because I have a neurological condition, um, I am a lot. It's a lot more noticeable when I'm not on meds compared to when I am. If I take all the meds prescribed to me, um, you can't really tell by talking to me most of the time that there's anything wrong with me, and pretty much 90% of my symptoms don't exist, right? But God factored in your destiny and who you're going to be, and He factored in that for my destiny, I was going to walk through it with these cognitive issues and physical limitations. But God sustains me every single day. And even though it gets a lot harder before it gets better, once your body learns how to fight for itself and repair itself without the pharmaceuticals, even though you have to take a step back and walk through the fire and experience way more pain, way more suffering, your body and mind will take control and do it. And a chronic illness is a doctor's diagnosis, right? But Jesus doesn't believe in chronic illness. He's the God of miracles, and Jesus is within us. So at all times, um, at all times, sorry. So I've only, since November, I've been doing live videos on my Facebook, and there's not really any interaction. And then when I got on YouTube, I saw that people could write and stuff. And on Facebook, you don't even see when anyone's logged in or not. So there could be a million people watching you or zero. You have no idea. So it's very different than what I'm used to. But part of stepping outside of your comfort zone is that's the only way you grow. So now that I'm down to 6 pills, as I get down to 0, I'm going to be a lot different and seem much, much more sick physically and mentally, right? Because it affects you cognitively as well. So I believe in herbs. I love herbs. I love everything natural. I believe Jesus made a cure for every single thing in the world. I don't believe there's anything in the world that there's not a natural cure for. But the pharmaceutical companies run the world, and they are from the devil, but there are medicines and vaccinations that miracles are real. There are vaccinations and medicines that do help. And so I'm not against everything, but pharmaceuticals, I am, and especially with conditions that aren't degenerative, such as mine. I don't need to be on medicines for it. You could take pills. I could take all my pills right now, and I'll have nothing wrong. But I want to be who Jesus made me to be, and that's not on any medicine, because that controls my brain. So, whoever I am, when my brain is off all the meds, that's who Jesus made me to be, for my destiny, for everything. Um, yeah, the food is poison. It's all just population control. That's why if you garden and eat anything in a food store, they taste completely different. Nothing you grow tastes like something you buy in a food store. And a man. Listen, first of all, women mature way faster than men, and secondly, behind every strong man is a stronger woman. Look at Michelle Obama, and even pastors, ministers, any man who's in lead or has like a high position, he has a stronger woman behind him, you know? And hello. Yeah, yeah. Well, unfortunately, age comes for all of us, and you start dying the moment you're born, you know? So it is what it is, but miracles are real, and even if you just, men are better physically for labor work. They're better gatherers and hunters. A lot of men are better carpenters, electricians. Men have very different brains than women. So there are a lot of ways that men are better than women with certain qualities, but there is many of qualities that women possess that men don't have that make them better. But it all balances it out. And that's why God made marriage, right? Because he wants to combine a man and a woman to make a whole, right? That's why he says you become one, and it's like a yin and a yang, and it's a beautiful thing, because men's brains and women's brains are so different, and together they really do complement each other. And when I got sick, it's like you have a stroke and you forget literally every single thing. You have to relearn everything in life, and I'm still learning it. So I'm still learning the differences between men and women, and how to mother again, and how to be in a relationship. You forget roles, and it's like you have to even relearn yourself, what you like, what you don't like. You forget foods that could be your favorite foods. You forget they exist. I was a chef, a sous chef at a 4-star golf resort, and I was being trained to be the executive chef about to take over. And I have a 2-year culinary arts and hotel restaurant management degree, and I've cooked every day of my entire life. And now I could barely cook anymore. So I'm relearning that, you know. But God will just keep working with you through all of your illnesses. No, it's a neurological condition, but the same thing that happens with a stroke, um, you erase, you forget everything, and then you have like a lot of dementia and stuff. I'm grateful that I'm relearning it, being saved, because I didn't get saved until July of 2024. And I, by August 20th, so a month and 20 days after getting saved, all of a sudden I got hit with some weird symptoms, And by September 19th, I was fired from a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful job. Um, and by October, I was paralyzed from the neck down, and I had no diagnosis. So they didn't know if it was cerebral palsy or if it was stage 4 or something. But no, it's a neurological condition. Your brain detaches itself from your peripheral nervous system, which is what controls every single thing in your brain and body. So you have to relearn everything, but you no longer have access to the left side of your brain, only the right side of your brain. So you relearn everything in a very different way. But it's, no, I'll never be the same. But that's the beauty of it, because I get to relearn everything being saved. I get to relearn everything having the first church family I've had my entire life. I met my partner 6 months ago, and I was still at the point of 75% of every day just being stuck in seizures, and I could only get out of bed to walk to the bathroom, and I couldn't even do that alone. So God brought me future husband 3 months after becoming really, really sick. And I'm very, very prophetic, and I just heard your husband's coming soon. And at that point, I looked like I had Down syndrome, and my brain will go into parts of Down syndrome, autism, lots of things, dementia. I could get lost walking literally 1 block from home, forgetting where I live. You forget your kids' names, you forget your partner. You know, you won't recognize people you know. But Jesus heals everything. And I went into remission. I got baptized on Mother's Day this year, and I went into remission 7 days later, that Sunday. So when I went into remission, when I was on all my pills, I 100% had no anything, right? But at that point, my body had been on so many pills for so long, it never dealt with my new brain not being on meds. So now that I'm down to 6 pills from 20, my brain is relearning. It's relearning everything. So I'm thankful that a lot of things. I'm thankful that I got to retire at 37. I'm thankful that I could pursue my life's passion now. I'm thankful for the divine connection that God brings into my life every single day. And when you get saved, your life becomes walking in signs, miracles, and wonders, and that becomes your normal life. And honest to God, I'm happier since getting sick than I was my entire life. And I had a great career in corporate America, very, very high income, and I was up for another promotion, which was significantly even higher. And I was commuting every day an hour to and from work. And I was just sitting in the car today with my mom, and I was thinking, like, wow, it's been 10 months since I've driven, and I'll never drive again, right? And I was just like, you never know when the last time you're going to drive is, you know? And it used to be that you want to go somewhere, it doesn't matter if it's an hour away, this or that, you get in your car and go. But even being in cars now hurts, so I don't really leave my town because the vibration. I've been mostly in bed 90% of every day for almost a year, and I still will be as I rebuild my muscle. So I have no like cushion, I guess. So I stay in my town, and the only places I go is just outside for a walk or a church event. I don't do public. I used to be an extrovert and run meetings and all sorts of stuff I ran the meetings for engineers, cost analysts, procurement, directors, construction crews. I was overseeing 50 million a year major hydropower plant upgrades, both the schedule and the cost control. And now I go in and out of being illiterate. So every day, like, I just find ways to keep relearning everything, and I'll reach 100% healing with no medicine, and then all the glory will go to God. So since I got sick, I haven't done any of what you're supposed to do, the neurology and this and that and blah, blah, blah. I've just been walking with Jesus, and I did the detox on my own, and it took me 5 times. So 6 is the lowest I've ever gotten, and I've gotten down to 6 a few other times, and then had to go back up. But this time I'm confident that I'll be able to get off of them. So 5 will be the lowest my body's ever experienced. So I have no idea how I'll be in 6 pills from now. And there's days that 80% of the day I can't speak because I have Tourette's the whole time. And through it all, I've had the peace that passes all understanding, because once you know Jesus, you realize everything that comes from him, it's a promise. So he already promised my healing. He already promised that I'm going to prosper. He gives you your heart's desires. He's your father. So if you think about, a father who's perfect and knows everything from the beginning to the end, and knows you better than you know you, and has unlimited love, unlimited resources, and he's just walking you through it. You have no fear. So I have 0 fear. I go in and out of wheelchairs. Most of the time I use a walker. Today I was able to walk without one, but I don't have any fear. I was an adrenaline junkie that loved doing anything, jet skis and speedboats and anything fast, anything adrenaline, fast rides, all that. So I'll never be able to do that again, because any adrenaline will just trigger seizures and lots of other stuff, right? So when things are taken from your life, or doors are closed, you're never left with a lack. You find that same love and excitement and joy and experience that you had for that in a new way. And anything that's not good, God's not done with it yet. So if your relationship isn't good, if your housing isn't good, if you're not living on your dream property, if you don't have your dream job, if you don't have your dream income, it just means God's still working on it all. But I already know for a fact that I'm going to be very, very, very prosperous, and very, very functional, and off my medicine, and super healed, and be able to do a ton. And one of the things I wanted to do my whole life, I never had time for. I spent 19 years as a single mom, just working, right? I always wanted to volunteer at like food pantries or giving out food stuff. So now I do that twice a month, and I'm looking into some other opportunities to increase that, and just some other volunteer work that I see coming down the line. But my YouTube, that's going to be my income, because once I get to 1,000 subscribers, I'll start earning, and then every 1,000 subscribers, somehow YouTube starts paying you. I don't know how it works. I never did it before. So my goal is 11 million. That's my achievable goal, and my reach goal is 100 million. So that's part of why I'm doing the YouTube. For I'll never work ever again, and disability. You can't even afford a 1 bedroom and food. So that will be my primary source of income because I'll never work ever again. But I'll still be doing a lot of volunteer stuff. But it's also because I'm making a worldwide website for chronic illness. So I want to build a lot of momentum for that, to market that and get that out there. And I plan on doing some other things. I want to look into how you pass a law, and I'm reaching out to the councilman on Monday, and someone else who's I'm going to start talking to the local councilman and stuff, and the police department, and try to get some rules put in place. They have these motorized bikes now that every kid has, my son included, and all his friends, and they go 25 miles an hour, and they could go even faster, and they're super, super dangerous because you ride them on sidewalks and in the streets and stuff, and that's like a fast speed, and there's no helmet requirement, and there was a kid just airlifted out of my town from an accident on his bike. So I want to talk to the councilman about getting I don't know if it's a law, a rule, what it is, implementing something of a helmet law for anyone under 18 that, I don't know. I'm going to figure all that out, but you could tell kids and teens all you want, wear your helmet, but they're not going to do it. So if it becomes like a legal requirement, then and they all have to do it, then they'll do it, and then the cops, any cop in town will stop them if they don't see it, So I got to figure out that, and then figure out what the how we could go about what the punishment is for it. I don't know. I don't know anything about that stuff, but I want to do that. And there's a whole bunch of things I've been thinking about. I'm going to be on TV for this F&D channel. That's a functional neurological disorder out of the UK. There'll be a bunch of us. But I try to keep busy because the idle mind is the devil's playground. And you're either going to be filled with God or you're going to be filled with the natural. And in the natural, if, you're walking through a storm, good luck. But when you're going through a storm with Jesus, it becomes almost like an honor. And I thank him for every day that, I'm still in my storm, because it's another day I'm being refined. It's another day of him working behind the scenes, right? And everything's always in perfect timing. So I don't even say anything other than your will, Lord. Your will, Lord, So if he has me with my brain barely working at points and still I'm going to do videos every single day, then there'll be videos that are like that, But I'm not going to dodge videos based on my symptoms or anything like that, because that's who I am. And you never have to be ashamed of who you are. And there'll be people that make fun of you and talk smack. And it's called like trolling. And you get a lot of bullies on the internet. It's like when people are in big trucks on the road and they get like all tough behind the trucks and drive too close to you and stuff. The internet, it's a beautiful thing and it's an evil thing, but that's like everything. You can't have dark without the light. So I've reached a point that being made fun of or this or that, it doesn't bother me at all. And it's super freeing when you get saved. You just realize the opinions of others, they don't really matter. You get to be more authentically yourself. You could dress however you want, look however you want, because you're not, you don't have a job that you have to look a certain way, or, you know what I mean? It's very freeing. And as I get healthier and healthier, even when I'm completely healthy, I'm never going back to work for the rest of my life, because I decided I only want to make money with purpose. So I just want to get paid to speak. So eventually I want to go on TED Talks and do in-person speaking engagements, and be kind of like Joyce Myers, but different. I have a little bit more of a earthly edge because I went 37 years unsaved. But I also have a neurological thing that also makes my personality a little bit different. But the having no filter, that's not because of this disorder. People that did have filters will now not have them, but I never had a filter, and I always said every single thing I thought, and I always stood up for everything that was right, and I never felt intimidation or fear from other people ever. Ever. And I still don't. And even like bullying and stuff, it's just that hurt people. And a lot of people, it goes like one of two ways. So in childhood, when you're bullied, you either become a bully, or you become like so passive aggressive that you never ever wanna bully anyone. And sometimes that could lead to lack of healthy boundaries and conflict avoidant. And that's not good either. You really need a healthy balance of boundaries. And when you know who you are, it doesn't matter who anyone else thinks you are. People are always going to come after your integrity or your character or your flaws, or there's always going to be people that don't like you. Nobody in the world is liked by everyone. Jesus was hated by a lot of people, and even the most holy people and the Pharisees and stuff, you know what I mean? So none of us are ever gonna just be liked, but you don't do things because you're liked. You just ignore all the bullying and stuff, and the people that need to hear you will hear you. But you can't let the bullies win. That, I was getting a lot of sexual harassment when I was doing my Facebook stuff. I had to add all these blockers, and it got pretty obnoxious. On my Facebook, I posted multiple videos on sexual harassment and things like that. And you guys could look at my Facebook. If you just put Ashley Brooks, Geneva, New York, it pops up, and it's open to the public. But I do a lot of different things on Facebook than on YouTube, because YouTube is going to be my income, but Facebook is just a lot of people from my church and everyone I know in my life, and just different things, But what's nice is when you're just able to live on the promises of God. I'm the poorest I've been since the day I was born. Literally the absolute poorest. I've never been so poor. I don't have a dollar to my name. I don't have income. I destroyed my credit since getting sick, maxed out every credit card. Now they all have high interest and all that. And qualifying for a mortgage would seem impossible, yada, yada. But I know I'm going to get my dream house and my dream property. So if I can't do it with a credit score, it just means God's going to bless me with enough money to buy it outright, But things aren't always as they seem, especially if you're looking at things in the natural. I'm luckier than a lot of people in the entire world because I get to feel Jesus every single day, and I get to have spiritual giftings and help people, right? And it actually, to do something with your time that's enjoyable, is really nice. I spent 19 years a single mom working, 7 days a week and multiple jobs, and supporting 3 people with no child support and prices of rent and all that. It's a lot. So now I'll be able to make more than I made my entire life, but doing what I love and being my own boss and having my own schedule, and with purpose. And a lot of other stuff will come out of it too. And it really just comes down to the moment you surrender to God, um, you give up that control and your life starts falling into place. I have the best relationship I've had my entire life. Um, through everything, God's just been there, And when I was paralyzed from the neck down, my pastor and an elder from my church came over and they prayed and did deliverance. And I had been listening to the Little Drummer Boy the day before, and I was still like completely just, whatever. So I heard that morning, put on the Little Drummer Boy march, and I couldn't even stand or get on and off a toilet by myself or nothing, but I knew it was the Lord. So I just picked up my phone, I started playing the Little Drummer Boy, and I turned, I didn't even tap my toes, I just boop, and just started marching through the whole house. And that was on November 11th. And I've been walking every day since. And even though there's points in every day I can't walk, and then points, needing a walker and stuff, there hasn't been one single day that I cannot walk at all, And there's people with this that spend their whole lives in wheelchairs, and 7 years, 2.5 years, like at any single second, any part of you could be paralyzed, multiple parts, and it could last days, months. I could literally be paralyzed from the neck down at any moment for any amount of time, or in a wheelchair at any second for any moment of time. So anytime I take a walk, that could be the last time I'm walking for a long time, And for some people, it would be like, that's a miserable way to live. But I get to live in the moment. I get to appreciate the little things, and you get this great appreciation that you never had. Like, nobody would ever take a walk with as much appreciation as I can. You know what I mean? Anyone else walking, they're walking. I'm walking and I'm knowing, hey, this could be my last walk. And I'm walking saying, hey, God, I was paralyzed from the neck down and I'm walking, So it's like a victory every time I walk. And it's also, just like the last time I drove, I didn't know that was going to be the last time I drove, I went to an amusement park with 3 of my friends this summer, right when I got saved in July. And I didn't know that was the last time I was going to be able to ride on rides, So you never know when the last time you'll see someone is, the last time you'll do something is. So many of us take our time for granted. We waste time. We spend a lot of time not, connecting with the people we love. Months and months will go by without talking to friends or loved ones, or even seeing your parents, all sorts of things. And society was designed to keep people exhausted and weak, to keep families weak, and setting them up for failure, so that everyone's always tired and distracted, so that people could never rise up against the government, so people stay completely unaware about what's going on in the world. Most people, they're going to work, they're exhausted, get home, you cook, you eat, you have a couple hours with your family. That's when you do all your errands and anything else you have to do too. And then that's if you don't have work you have to do at home. And then you're back at it. And you get 2 days off a week, and PTO, it's like 3 weeks a year. You know what I mean? Um, so you're stuck in this rat race of life that you see your family less than you see the people you work with. You know what I mean? God gives you your husband or your wife, and the way the world's set up now, you need 2 incomes to survive, not one. So a lot of families are working opposite schedules, and it's ruining relationships and the closeness people have, because it's hard to have a relationship with someone you never see, you know? So society was just set up to make us fail, and it was set up to be so distracted. Um, and that's why there's so much sin, because people are so overwhelmed and so stressed out, because we weren't made to live like this, that people have all these outlets that are unhealthy, whether it's, sexual activity, drugs, drinking, partying. Indulging in anything too much that brings you comfort is no good, And, even if it's exercising too much, eating too much, whatever it is, if people self-medicate and they self-soothe, because everyone is so stressed out, and the school districts now, and the bullying and the stuff going on in the schools. So now parents are more stressed about raising kids than they've ever had to be. And we're meant to spend a lot of time in nature, and we don't. You're not supposed to just be inside all the time. You're supposed to be outside in nature, and everything the way life was supposed to be, lived is gone. And I had an epiphany today, and I'm going to end it with this. But, so I was watching this thing, and how when Lucifer fell and became Satan and took all the angels with him, and a lot of the angels he took with him were God's favorite angels. They were the wisest, they were the most respected, the highest ones up. And it went for like the ones that God would have never ever thought, you know what I mean? Like, you guys are the leaders of the angels, and then they fell, right? So now I realize that the reason it's the misfits and the people on the outskirts being used by God, it's because when it was just chosen the best of the best and the healthiest and the smartest, the wisest, you know what I mean? When the leaders were all like the best, it didn't work. So now God finds the people that have had the most suffering, that have been through the worst trials and everything, and he's raising up those people because we have humility and we appreciate things in a different way. Once you know what it's like to live a life like Job, and you stay faithful and you get through that, you just truly understand things in such a different way. And I lived the life of Job. I lost everything. We lost our home, we've been malnutrition for quite some time, lost friends, everything changed. That's the short list. The list goes on and on and on. And the story of Job, it's in the Bible because when you literally lose everything, that's when you realize how much you love God. Because it's easy to love God when things are good and when you're happy. But when you could love God when you've lost everything, I, almost lost my kids through this when I got to the point that I couldn't take care of them anymore, But I didn't. And God is just so good all the time. So that's why you're seeing an uprise. And, one of my favorite songs is I'm Just a Nobody, trying to tell everybody about somebody that saved my life. Because God is choosing the nobodies. He's choosing the people with the most broken past, with the most pain, with the most suffering, and He's rising them up to be the leaders. Um, because He knows you loved me at your worst. You never stopped loving me. You never stopped trusting me. You never lost faith in me. You never were like, oh, this is it for me, God. You just kept trusting my promises, and you surrendered even the time it happens. There's no like, God, okay, time's up. It's just, that everything is God's perfect timing, every single thing happening, so you just view the world differently. I don't regret getting sick at all. It saved my whole family. It broke generational curses. It brought back relationships that, severed family relationships for decades. And God swooped in and saved my whole family. And since then, my stepdad got baptized. My mom got baptized. I got baptized. My son and my little sister are now asking to get baptized. And it's all, since I got sick. My family wasn't religious. We didn't go to church. I hadn't been to church in a decade until I found my church family. And I started them in July, right when I was saved. So I've been there exactly a year this July, But I don't regret getting sick ever. There's a lot of pain and things to walk through, but the spiritual gifts I've gotten, the refinement I've gotten, the fearlessness I've gotten, the boldness, the reward of being retired at 37, like, after being a single mom for 19 years and all I knew was work, to be like, hey, I'm retired at 37 is amazing. And I'll still get to do everything I ever wanted to do in life, travel, and I'll be able to eat everything I ever dreamt of, and, still have a dream home, dream property, everything, because it's God's promise. So when things happen and it knocks you off track, you don't look at it in the natural. And when you're saved, you have eyes to see and ears to hear. Things aren't usually what they appear. People would be like, oh, that sucks, but I would never take back my sickness. It saved my life. It saved my life. It saved, my family. It turned me who I wanted to be. I like who I am now 10 trillion times more than I did when I was healthy. And when you feel such a personal relationship with God, and you feel the Holy Spirit, and you see miracles, and you see people you've known your whole life changing, and seeing is believing, and I've seen so much and experienced so much through my sickness, so much that it has been the greatest blessing of my entire life, and I would never take it back. And it's a chronic illness, so you have it forever, so it's like, you're not like, all right, in 2 years you recover, blah blah blah. No, you know what I mean. But that's also the beauty of it, because I'll always live in the moment. I'll always deeply appreciate everything. You go in and out of, you can't taste anything. You can't tell the difference between hot and cold, wet and dry. Like, you could eat ice cream and it could taste like warm clay. So there's times that you can't eat, or all food tastes like fake. It doesn't taste like food. Like, anything you put in your mouth, you want to throw up. So even when you eat and things are good, you're like, wow, God, thank you. You get appreciation in everything. And, my body, you can't tell the difference between hot and cold or wet and dry. So you could literally be in a swimming pool and it feels dry. That's weird. Or when you're in the shower and you can't get wet, like you still feel dry. And, you know, so there was no earthly comfort in this disease. You couldn't find comfort in anything other than literally Jesus. And the one prayer, not the one prayer, I talk to Jesus nonstop, all the time, really. But when I ate ice cream and it was like warm clay, I said, Jesus, I have accepted so much, but please, please do not take ice cream from me. And the very next time I ate ice cream, it was cold and wet again. Because putting ice cream in your mouth when it's like clay and warm, and dry, doesn't even feel wet. It's just, and then ever since then, I've been able to eat ice cream. And there's people with this, that there's a speaker on TED Talks, and she's had this her whole life, and she never ever regained the ability to tell the difference between hot and cold. And that's the reality. At any second, it could be the last time I could feel the difference between hot and cold. And I'll be outside because I could stand in the snow and be pouring sweat and feel like I'm burning on fire in a t-shirt. So there'll be times I'll just ask people, right now, is it hot or is it cold? Because I'll have no idea. I can't go by, what it is. But it brings a lot of enjoyment. Suffering brings a lot of enjoyment because the amount of gratitude and appreciation, and it is so different. Imagine if you're walking and you're like, hey, I might not walk for 2 years, or like when every single moment is just a gift, you feel it. And I wouldn't change it, because people take their health for granted. They take their time for granted. They waste a lot of time. They plan a lot of things. I planned my wedding my entire life, and now I couldn't ever have a wedding, just because the stimulation of people and stuff, and couldn't do a honeymoon. I lost like 40 pounds in the year, but I lost it so fast while also losing all my muscle mass, and then my tendons and ligaments all shrinking. So my body's awkward with just how I stand and everything. So even putting on a dress, I'd look weird as hell, But when I lost the ability to have a wedding, God didn't leave that as a lingering hole in my heart. And I literally, like, from the time I was a kid, had binders of wedding pictures, picked out my wedding dress, my menu, my meals, my venue, everything. The shoes, the accessories, bridesmaid dresses. Like, I was obsessed. I wanted to get married my entire life. Especially being a single mom at 19, like, you want a family. And I have my kids 365 days a year. You want them to have a stepdad. You want a partner, It's human nature to want a partner, right? And I finally met my partner 6 months ago, and it's like, oh, okay. Everything I ever planned or thought, for the only way we could get married would literally... like, no one could be there. We couldn't do a party. It would literally be like we would just go to my church alone, and the pastor and his wife would say our vows with, maybe a couple people there, and then we'd have to leave right after. But it didn't leave a void or a sadness in my heart, because it just left everything natural and materialistic, and the plan of, like, the centerpieces and this and that. Like, it just enabled me to focus on being able to have the next 50 years of my life um, in a marriage. I'm able to just focus. God brought me my partner, and it's not about the wedding, and I feel no lack that now I can't do one. I feel no lack at all. I just feel, even with us, we are completely alone with the pastor and wife, said the vows, and just went home and watched a movie. I wouldn't feel like, "Meh, meh, that was my wedding day." I would just feel like, God, you gave me my husband. And to be sad over one day and take the joy out of, a 50-year marriage. And I say 50 years because I'm 38, so, by 88, and, I mean, I don't know how long people live, but call it 50 years. So now I'm able to focus on that, Had I have been healthy and stuff, it would have been focusing on, all right, the wedding and this and that, and now there's nothing to plan, nothing to focus on, nothing to think about. It's just the love, and that God brought us together, and that's it, So when things change in your life that you think will devastate you, you don't have that longing. You don't spend the rest of your life like, I didn't get to have that wedding. No. You look over at your husband and you're like, I have my husband, And that's it. Like, so anything I lost, there was a period, you have to grieve it and get over it and adjust and mentally be like, whoa, okay. But once I was able to come to peace with it, I realized that this was the greatest blessing of my entire life, getting sick. And I would never, ever change it just for what it's done for my family. I would never, ever change it. And I would have never, ever met Adam if I wasn't sick. And God knew what he was doing. So whoever I am now, once I get off these pills, I'm still going to have this beautiful destiny and this dream life and happiness and joy and everything my heart desires, but so much more, because I'm just so limited in my thinking. So it's going to be God's blessing and God's will for my life, just 10 trillion times better than anyone's wildest imagination. So I'm really just excited about the future. And you could look at it in any way you want, but when you're walking with Jesus, you just know everything he has for you is good. So you always have hope, and you always have his promises, and you always know where you're going. You don't know how long it's going to take. It could take 5 minutes, it could take 5 years, but it's God's perfect timing. So you don't grow weary in the waiting, because he knows why you're still where you are. You know what I mean? There's still things I'm learning that I have to heal from, inside. Strongholds I have to release, and different things that, I started this course 2 days ago. It's a 30-day course, and I'm only 2 days in, and it's already opened my eyes and brought healing and just incredible things into my life that I didn't even notice, just a ton of breakthrough in 2 days. And tomorrow starts church camp. It's like a week long, but I'll just be going for part of each day. And I'm really looking forward to that, because there's like 10 speakers from around the world, and it's in a tent, and I love that, because I always feel like the hungry go to tents to praise Jesus. That's where you find the most healing, the most anointed people, the hungriest people. That's where you walk in, and that atmosphere is like, whoa. Because people that are going to a tent and church camp and stuff, they are on fire for the Lord. And you see just you see, you feel, you meet people. It's just a wonderful, wonderful experience. And I don't have to be like, I have to get everything done on Sunday because I have work on Monday. I could go just careless, you know what I mean? It's not about having to prep for the week and this and that because I'm retired. You know, so I thank God he retired me at 37. You know, I thank God that he put me on the track to my destiny. I thank God that, you know, he saved me, you know, months before I got sick, so I didn't have to go through one moment on my storm without him. And no, I'm very thankful for this storm. And it's a hard one, but it's the deep calling onto the deep. And you know, God collects your tears and he sees everything because he's in you. He's seeing it, he's feeling it. And he's just so pleased with you every single day that you choose him over, you know, despair, over helplessness, over depression. And you just choose to, like, I'm gonna trust you, God. I love you and I know where we're going. It makes him proud. And you know, it should make yourself proud too, you know, because love is not conditional, love is unconditional. And it's great being on the bottom and knowing, like, okay, I love God for God. I don't love him because of the house he put me in, the family he put me in, the career he put me in. I don't love him because my life's great. I love Jesus because of him. And that's how love is supposed to be, even with people. Like, even when you fall in love with a person, it's not supposed to be anything superficial, anything in the natural. It's just supposed to be love, you know. And that's why vows, it's like sickness and health, richer or poorer. It's love is unconditional. So you're supposed to love and praise God just the same way you love and praise your husband or wife, no matter what storm you're going through, what storm they're going through. Like, you don't love your partner when things are good and then be like, you know what I mean? So that's not how it works with God. And it grows your faith exponentially when you get through a storm with Jesus, and when you get supernatural healing. It just grows your faith. All right, well, I am done for the night. Thank you everyone who was watching, and I'll be going live every single day, so see you soon.